What is up? What's going on, guys? Trizzle here, tuning in, bringing you guys another great 3-star tutorial. And this one is quite a doozy. This is actually going to be the definitive DragBat guide. Of course, that's going to encompass Town Hall 12 as well as Town Hall 11, and we're going to get into how to 3-star in war and how to take down those max bases. Now, of course, with this being part of the new meta, I do have to let you guys know that this, of course, is post Nerf. This is after the bat spell was nerfed, so you've got nothing to worry about in case you're thinking this video was made before the update. Now, of course, with this particular raid, probably going to be looking at a brand new swag, hashtag I am Batman, hashtag I am the last dragon, and hashtag you're nothing without me. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it, starting of course with the Town Hall 12 E-DragBat. Now, of course, with this particular breakdown, you're going to be rocking, as far as your spells go, 9 bat spells, 2 free spells, 1 raid spell that you'll be bringing in the CC. Now, as far as the army goes, you're going to be using 7 Electro Dragons, 13 balloons, a stone slammer in your siege machine, and in the CC, you're going to be bringing 2 dragons. Now, of course, with DragBat, which is the other version of this for Town Hall 12, this is going to be 9 dragons, 13 balloons, 4 wizards, 3 Wallbreakers, 1 minion and 1 archer for cleanup. And for your siege machine, you're going to be bringing the stone slammer, and of course you'll also be bringing 2 dragons in the CC as well. For your spells on this one, you'll be bringing 9 bat spells, 2 free spells, and a raid spell in the clan castle. Now, Town Hall 11 is going to be a little bit different. I know I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but of course I have included timestamps. That way you can navigate around the video just to make it a little bit easier for you. But as far as Town Hall 11 goes, it'll be 1 archer, 3 Wallbreakers, 13 balloons, 2 wizards, 9 dragons, the stone slammer for your siege machine, and for the clan castle troops, you'll be bringing 1 Electro Dragon and 1 Loon. And then for your spells, with the nerf of the bat spell, you're going to actually switch things up just a little bit. It's going to be 7 bat spells, 2 free spells, 1 raid spell, and then in the clan castle, you'll be bringing 2 max bat spells. Now, of course, even with the nerf, this raid is a very strong raid. Now, you do have to look out for a few things, and that's going to lead me into the next order of business, which is the tips for success. Very important. Now, in order to 3-star successfully, you got to make sure that you have max troops for your Town Hall only. You want to maximize the value for your bat spells. You need to be able to take out at least 2 to 3 defenses from the following list in order of importance. That's going to be the Eagle Artillery, 2 air defenses, a single target Inferno, or 2 air targeting Expos. Now, you gotta make sure you scout the base, guys. And when you're dropping your bat spells, there cannot be multi-targeting Infernos or Wizard Towers in range unless you're going to be able to protect your bats with a free spell. Make sure you never attack a base Make sure you never attack a base that breaks this rule. Now, the first and primary function of your King and Queen and your Kill Squad troops is to help make sure that the list of defenses that needs to be 3-starred, make sure that's complete. The secondary function of your King and Queen is to establish a funnel for your dragons, and to make sure that you're 3-starring max bases in war consistently. Your heroes have to be as high as possible. I would say you're looking at least level 55 to 60 for your Archer, Queen, and Barbarian King, and level 25 to 30 for the Grain Warden. Now, I have said this before, and I don't think I'll ever stop saying it. Practice, practice, memorize those raid objectives, and then practice some more. I can't stress that enough, guys. Now, as far as the actual objectives, I know I'm going through this kind of quick, but keep in mind all of the raid objectives, all of the tips for success, everything that I'm going over in the video, that's also going to be listed in the video description down below. So make sure, if you want, you can pause it. You can hit the description button and just read it there. But in any event, it just gives you a lot of different opportunities and different ways that you can learn how to 3-star with this particular composition. Now, again, I'm going to start with Town Hall 12. And of course, when you're looking at the raid objectives, it's going to be the same for pretty much all Town Halls, at least as far as Town Hall 12 and Town Hall 11. The only minor differences is going to be the troop compositions, and I've already gone over that with you guys. So as far as your raid objectives, you've got to make sure, again, that you start by scouting the base. You want to make sure the Eagle Artillery and the defenses aren't in range of more than one multi-targeting Inferno or Wizard Towers. Now, you got to drop your raid spell over the Eagle and try to cover as many defenses as possible. That's number 2. Number 3, if there is a multi-targeting Inferno or Wizard Tower in range, make sure you deploy a free spell and then drop your bat spells as quickly as possible. Number 4, it is ideal to save one or both of the free spells if possible. However, if you're able to take out everything on the defense objectives list and then some, it is recommended that you go ahead and use both free spells. Now, number 5, on rare occasions, you may be able to drop your King and Queen first. However, for 99% of these raids, you'll be using the King and Queen after the spells to take out as many air defense as possible. Just try to pick out a side of the base that will allow you to also establish the funnel for your dragons. Now, make sure you always drop the Barbarian... Well, let me start over. Number 6. Always drop the Barbarian King first, followed by the Archer Queen directly behind the King so he becomes a tank. If you're using DragBat instead of E-DragBat, make sure you deploy the 2 wizards on each side of the BK before dropping the Archer Queen. And use those Wallbreakers to allow the heroes to break into the base and take out as many air defense as possible. Number 7. Now it's time to deploy those dragons. Of course, keep in mind it's ideal to attack the side of the base that allows you to take out the Town Hall and any single target Infernos as soon as possible. You want to make sure that you're not attacking directly into any air sweepers, especially if there's any single target Infernos, and of course the Town Hall Giga Tesla is in range of the air sweepers. It'll do a lot of damage to your dragons. Number 8, deploy your troops adjacent to the wedge that you cut out with your Barbarian King and Archer Queen and your bat spells. Now time your deployment so that your heroes can be kept alive. You're going to want to drop 1 or 2 dragons earlier on if it will help you establish the best funnel. Now number 9, deploy your dragons, followed by the Stone Slammer, followed by the Grand Warden, and then spread your loons in a line behind the dragons. Of course, number 10, if you have any free spells, you're going to use them as needed to protect your army from any single target Infernos. And then number 11, use the Grand Warden Eternal Tome ability to protect your army from the Giga Tesla or any extremely high concentration of defenses. You're going to want to have the Grand Warden set to air, that way he can stay behind the army. And of course, with this particular composition, very important, you never forget, make sure you always select the Stone Slammer if you're bringing your own, or in case you didn't have one that was donated to you. Now, in order to keep the other thing that you'll want to always remember, you can keep your Archer Queen and possibly the Barbarian King alive until the end of the raid if you time your deployment. Ideally, you want to bring your troops in play as soon as possible after you destroy the Eagle Artillery, the air defense, and the other defenses on the objectives list. And then after that, really it's just to hang back and collect the 3-star, guys. And I know we've done a lot of talking, but I have to kind of put this in a step-by-step fashion. That way we break it down and we understand what goes into making this attack a success. So let's go ahead and put that into play, guys, and let's see how we're able to make this work. Now, of course, this is Town Hall 12 Electro DragBat, and you'll notice right at the start, I go in after that Eagle Artillery, I let my rage down, and then I drop the bat spells, and there wasn't really any multi-target Infernos or Wizard Towers in range, so I was able to hang on and save the free spells. Now you'll notice that I was able to drop the king and queen fairly early on, because I knew that I wouldn't have to worry too much about funneling the king and queen into the base. The king would lock on and he would just work his way through the wall. Now after they break into that first layer, they get through that first wall, now is where you start looking at where you want to drop your dragons. Now the way that they ended up splitting, the king ended up going to the top of the base. The queen starts making her way down to the bottom right hand side of the base. And then from there, I'm just going to manage the hero abilities so I can bring in my dragons as soon as possible. Now, with everything that played out on this base, I went ahead and made sure that I'd be able to target the town hall ASAP. So with the heroes carving out a nice funnel, I went ahead and dropped one E-Drag down at the very northern corner of the base. And then from there, I brought all the dragons in from the far right hand side. And then from there, you drop the E-Dragons, Stone Slammer, Grand Warden, the balloons, and then you just bring it in and you manage your spells accordingly. Use that freeze spell initially, followed by Eternal Tome once your dragons and your army gets into a high concentration of defenses. And then I would have been able to pretty much swag this freeze spell, but I said, you know what, let's go ahead and make sure that it's a nice secure 3-star. Keep those balloons up, and there you have it, guys. So down goes Town Hall 12 using E-DragBat. Alright, so let's take a look at the other replay. This is also going to be Town Hall 12 E-DragBat, and it's pretty much rinse, wash, repeat. You got to get that raid spell down as soon as possible. You'll notice that on this raid, there was a wizard tower in range. So after the raid spell, I went ahead and got the freeze spell down ASAP, followed by all of the bat spells, so that way it can take out the wizard tower, then it can start working its way towards the right, take out that air defense, and ideally the eagle. So in the bat spells go, down goes the wizard tower, down goes the air defense, and we've got enough bat spells congregating over the eagle, so that goes down. And then from there, we start serving what's left. Of course, the heroes end up coming in on the top left-hand side of the base. Walls are very low, so the king's able to bust in without too much of a delay. And then behind him comes the queen. She takes out, the other air defense. He breaks into that other compartment, and then from there, we just bring in the army from the top right-hand side of the base. And by the end of it, I think we end up saving the queen, if I'm not mistaken. But being that the base was so well primed, coming in with that correct funnel, I'm able to use the Eternal Tome as the army approaches the town hall, and then from there it's say goodnight. So easily able to 3-star this base. Of course, I do know that it was not a max base, but yet and still, fundamentally, this is how you want to make sure you execute these attacks to give yourself the best chance of getting that 3-star. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at a replay for DragBat. So this isn't going to be E-DragBat, this is going to be Town Hall 12 DragBat with regular dragons. Now, of course, with this one, you'll notice that the same overall setup when you're scouting. You got to make sure that you'll get maximum value for your spells. So down goes the raid spell, followed by the bat spell since there's nothing in range. And then from there, the bat spells do their job. They take out the eagle, take out at least both infernos, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think, did I end up getting one of the air defense? No, I did not. And that's okay, because the heroes were coming in from the top side of the base. And being that the air defense was fairly exposed, I was still able to get great value for the investment. And I was able to still hang on to a couple of the free spells, which did end up helping me out near the end of the raid. Alright, so in comes the dragons from the top left hand side. And again, you're going to want to follow that line of dragons with the Stone Slammer, then your Grand Warden, and then drop your line of balloons, and then manage your spells accordingly. You want to always try to attack into the town hall, because worst case scenario, if things don't go as planned, and you don't quite get enough for the 3-star, you want to make sure that you secure that 2-star, especially if you're in Clan War, where a 1-star is essentially a fail. And if you're a Town Hall 12 playing at a top level, you're definitely going to want to make sure you get 2 stars or better. Alright, so down goes a pretty much max Town Hall 12. And again, it's all about those basic fundamentals. So let me see if we can get one more replay for the Town Hall 12 E-DragBat. Okay, here we go. So again, another example of Town Hall 10 E-DragBat. Not quite the strongest base as far as air defenses go, but again, you gotta get your fundamentals down, starting with that raid spell, followed by your bat spells, taking out the eagle, and then from there you're going to use your heroes, specifically the king and queen, to be able to go in and take care of at least one, if not two, air defense. So they easily bust into the base using the wizards as well as Wallbreakers to allow maximum penetration. And of course they can get in there, and then once you've established that funnel, that's when you're going to come in with your dragons. Now in this base, the dragons ended up coming in. I decided to start a dragon on the far right to establish the funnel, and then from there, because the heroes had already cut out a nice chunk, I just brought in the rest of the dragons on the bottom right, followed by the Stone Slammer, followed by the Grand Warden, followed by the line of balloons. And then being that the heroes had barely used any health, they end up doing a lot of work. Not only do they converge with the army, but they end up, I want to say, alive to the end of the raid. I know the queen definitely lives, and if I'm not mistaken, no, the king ended up dying. But yet and still, it just shows you that the strength of the army and why it's so important to practice and get your timing down. Now, that's going to lead me to the very last replay that we had, which is going to be a Town Hall 11 E-DragBat, and that's extremely powerful, guys. I know that as a Town Hall 11, you want to make sure that you're doing all the right things. Of course, it typically starts with maxing out those heroes. I could go on and on and on and on forever and ever and ever about that. But for Town Hall 11, the composition is going to be slightly different, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. 1 archer, 3 Wallbreakers, 13 loons, 2 wizards, 9 dragons, Stone Slammer, and of course in your CC for the Stone Slammer, you're going to have an Electro Dragon, a Loon, and then spells will be 1 rage, 2 freeze, 7 bat spells, and then you're going to bring 2 max bat spells in the clan castle. So with that being the case, we're going to scout the base. We noticed that we can get in there, take out the eagle, as well as at least one of those single target infernos. So that's what ends up happening. We freeze that wizard tower since it wasn't range after the eagle goes down, and by the end of it, we get the infernos, the eagle, the air defense, and we almost get that last one. But in any event, still we got great value. And in come the king and queen. They're of course going to make sure that we can get at least one more of the other air defense, and then after that we're going to bring in the dragons. So now that the queen takes out the other air defense, the dragons start their funnel. I release 1 or 2 just to go ahead and work on those outside structures, and then after the line of dragons come down, you drop your Stone Slammer, your Grand Warden, followed by the line of balloons, and then you try to manage your troops accordingly, making sure to utilize the spells as well as the Eternal Tome as efficiently as possible. Now, being that Town Hall 11 does not have the Giga Tesla to go against, you can typically use the Eternal Tome on primarily air defense as well as single target infernos. That way you're not chewing up a lot of the troops and takes away from the overall strength of the attack. It kind of makes it a little bit easier, but then again, the troop levels are also lower, so of course it does even out. So on this raid, again, this is the Town Hall 11 E-DragBat. It's viable at Town Hall 10 as well, but I'm going to go ahead and make a separate video for that particular tutorial. If I were to try to combine all 3 Town Halls on one videos, it would have been a little bit longer than it is, and I can already tell that this video is running long. So with that being the case, guys, I definitely recommend that whatever parts of the video you need to stop, rewind, pause, make sure you do that. Don't forget, I have included timestamps not only in the description, but as well as the beginning of the video. That way it makes it easier, a lot easier to navigate. And make sure that, of course, you join us every Sunday night for our live streams. And that way, if you need help being a better attacker, upgrading your account, we can always, give back to the subscribers and the community. So with that being said, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and Trizzle is tuning out. Have a great one.